different animals.
Listen to him.
There's a
Listen.
lot more to it than that. And I give 6 definitions, and you're going to show it in a minute. And my 6 divisions of that slippery word evolution are correct.
No, they never were.
Yes, they really are.
This is the only textbook I have that was published within the last 10 years, but it's also the 11th edition.
Okay. What edition is this one here, Steve? 2017. What edition is this one? 11th edition, they're calling it. 2017, though. Must have just changed the copyright. And I just showed you, they do teach origin of life in there. I'm right. There are 6 meanings to the word evolution, or 6 stages or levels to the word evolution. Stop trying to hide.
All my other textbooks are older than that. This one, on the evolutionary process, is from 1991, yet it doesn't include any mention of planet formation or cosmogony either.
Well, you found a book that doesn't have it. That may be. I could find thousands of books that don't have it. What does that prove? It is in hundreds and it is in thousands of biology books or science books as part of the theory of evolution.
Instead, it adheres to the same definition as the other 3 books, which follow Darwin's original explanation, although enhanced and improved by 160 years of further research. I bought this textbook when I took a full semester course on evolution.
You should get your money back. You wasted money learning something extremely stupid. There are people that spend years studying Buddhism, and when they're done, they know all about Buddhism. They have a head full of useless mush. That's what you've got here. A head full of knowledge that is completely useless and not true. I'm sorry about that. But hey, I'm a teacher. I'll help you. First I'll get you unbrainwashed, then I'll teach you the truth. Follow me. I'll lead the way. You're the sun god. You want people to follow the sun? No, follow me on this one. I got you, Mr. Nelson. I'll be your friend. Okay.
That's 15 weeks wherein nobody brought up any of those unrelated theories in your list.
You know, I took WSI, Water Safety Instructor. I became a lifeguard, and then took the next classes to become WSI, Water Safety Instructor, where you can teach lifeguards to be lifeguards. They never talked about evolution in that class either. We just learned how to swim. I bet there's lots of classes that don't discuss evolution. I bet if you took a baking class, you know, culinary arts, they wouldn't talk about it. What kind of argument is this?
We only talked about the last 2 on your list, which are both the same theory.
The last 2, macroevolution, microevolution, both the same theory? You're dreaming, sir.
Your scientific creationism really isn't scientific.
Well, neither is evolution. You mentioned in the letter that you faxed in.
We're talking about evolution yet. We're talking about you. We'll get back to evolution in a second.
No, I agree.
The thing is that scientific creationism is not scientific.
I agree. There's no possible way to prove it scientifically.
Why do you guys keep trying to get it taught in the public school science classes? If it's not science, it shouldn't be taught.
Well, see, that's to prove the point. Evolution isn't science either, and it shouldn't be
now
taught.
Let's talk about whether evolution is scientific. First of all, you have an exceedingly narrow definition of what science is. If we had to refer to things scientific as only those which were directly testable, directly observable, we'd have a pretty short list of sciences that we could talk about. For example, particle physics. Nobody has seen an atom. Nobody can observe the particles that are smashing into each other in an atom smasher.
Oh, I agree. Sure.
So therefore, particle physics is not science.
No, there is a lot of theory in particle physics. An awful lot of theory.
But hey, but it's not science because you can't directly observe it.
Well, my point in this is that, and it's very difficult to get an evolutionist to admit this, what they have is exactly the same as what a creationist has. They have a strong belief in something that is not observable, testable, or demonstratable. Both are fundamentally religions. And
no,
yet,
now you're saying that unless it's directly observable, it's not scientific. So, but I think that you'll probably agree that particle physics is a science. So there must be some kinds of sciences in which direct observation is not completely relevant.
Okay, yes, and I would say creation would fall into that category. Creation is a scientific theory that is not directly testable. I mean, we weren't here when God created the world.
Well,
but
I don't know. I can think of some ways to test young Earth creationism.
Okay, let's hear one.
Well, you should be doing this job because one of the things that a real scientist does is come up with ways that his theory or explanation could possibly be refuted. Demonstrate that the whole Grand Canyon could be laid down by water.
Well. No, wait. Now, you would have to agree, I'm sure, if you studied your geology, that all of the layers of strata in the geologic column in the Grand Canyon are sedimentary rock, which means they were indeed laid down by water.
Nope, some of them were laid down by air.
Volcanic, yeah.
Windblown. Are aeolian deposits, which is pretty tough for you guys to handle when it's...
No. You mean talk about windblown ash and stuff? Sure, that happens. I think in the flood there was a catastrophe, disaster, volcanoes going off, there was ash layers. The trees.
It's pretty crazy because you got the flood going over, depositing a water layer, and then you have the flood waters going someplace, an ash layer being deposited, then the flood water coming back and depositing water layer. You know, this whole thing is just really silly.
Do you believe there's evidence that man was created from mud?
No, I think we're made out of natural elements. I think you could find all the elements for man's body in the mud.
So you're interpreting that part allegorically because it doesn't suit your narrative.
I'm saying there is a narrative. There's a book that says God did it. I don't know of a better answer, but
Sure.
I'm not
and you're interpreting part of it literally and part of it allegorically to fix whatever gaps you have in your understanding.
Well, no, you guys are one of the ones with all the gaps in the understanding. We observe cows produce cows, dogs produce dogs.
That's okay. It's okay to have gaps, Ken.
Well, then call it, then stop saying you accept it. Admit you believe it. It's a belief. It's a religion on your part.
Okay, I believe it, but I have justification for my belief.
I have justification for my belief. Nobody's ever seen a cow produce a non-cow. Therefore, somebody must have made the original cow.
You do have justification for your own belief, for your belief, but your belief itself does not have justification to be believed by anybody who would, other than people who would just accept it on faith.
Well, I think you need to look in the mirror. Jim, you're the one who has a belief that is not based on any scientific evidence. Why would the fragments of this explosion or this expansion, Big Bang, why would they accumulate into clumps like stars and galaxies? Why isn't it all just particles evenly distributed throughout all of visible space? How do we have clumps of any matter anywhere?
Gravity. Come on, Ken. This is basic physics. Gravity.
I understand gravity. I think it's probably as well as anybody. Yes, and I'm using it right now, actually, sitting on a chair. So, yes, gravity. So these particles that are flying away from each other, assuming in a radial direction from this expansion, they're going to reaccumulate. The further you go away, the farther apart they get. But they're going to somehow find each other and pull each other together, even though they're continually expanding, getting further apart. I think it's common sense 101 to say that's not logical. The fragments should be spread everywhere. So the question was...
Here we go again with the common sense. Kent, they did this experiment in space. They went into the International Space Station. They took these particles, I think it was sand or dust or something along the lines of along those lines, and they shook them around, and they saw that they spontaneously accumulated, even though they were going in every direction.
Well, yeah, out in space, I agree. That's where Uranus came from. The dumping the urine overboard on the early space flights. It followed the space capsule because that's the strongest, the biggest attraction and the biggest show in town was the thing right there. So yeah, that's.
Okay, but the point is, even if things are moving apart in a vacuum, the gravity is going to pull them together.
Just a reminder that Kent studied religious education and Christian education at 2 unaccredited universities, whereas I did biomedical science at Warwick, which, when I applied to it, was one of the top universities in the world, and I think it was like number 3 in the UK. So that's what a real university is, Kent. And I'm not saying you can't know this stuff if you haven't been to a university. I'm just saying if he's going to bring in this kind of like appeal to authority, he should at least have the authority and credentials to back it up. And he doesn't. So, yeah. Yeah, I think with this point, he's just trying to be like kind of contrary for the sake of it, and I don't really get what point he's trying to make.
Now, regarding his infatuation with the term liar, I urge on you 2 websites that you can go to if you want a deeper knowledge of this. One is www.talkorigins.org. And that'll deal with very detailed refutations of the bizarre story he's peddling about how this universe came about. There is one that may appeal to some of you in this audience even more. It's called AnswersInGenesis.org. It is an explicitly Christian website, but it has a subsection called Arguments Creationists Should Not Use, and this is devoted to arguments that this character has used in the past and that are recognized as being dishonest in content and almost certainly dishonest in intent, including various kinds of lies he's told about Darwin's deathbed conversion, about Thomas Henry Huxley talking about free sex, a basking shark found off of Japan really being a plesiosaur, and so forth and so on. I don't have the time to deal with this kind of trivia, but I urge you, if you've got an interest in a slightly more mature Christian creationist approach to check answers in Genesis, or if you're interested in the evidence more broadly, to check talkorigins.org.
I'm researching you a lot on the internet, and there's a lot of chatter about your dissertation for your PhD. Is that available? Can people get that, or is that not available?
I don't know where it's available. I have nothing to hide about it. My dissertation for my last degree is right here in my hand. It's my book I wrote, What on Earth is About to Happen. It's standard to do a dissertation for a doctorate degree.
Are you also saying that you have an honorary doctorate degree?
Yes, I have 4 doctorate degrees. 3 of them earned, 1 honorary.
Are
But
three?
Again,
3 of them are all 3 from Patriot?
no, 2 from Patriot. Only 2 from Patriot, but all from Bible colleges, all from non-accredited by the secular establishment.
So what's the other university that what's the third university then, or what's the one besides Patriot that you earned a degree in?
Well, none of them are accredited, so don't worry about it. You wouldn't accept it even if I got one from Harvard and became a creationist. You would still think I'm crazy.
Yeah, but you can tell me what the name is, right? Come on.
Well, I could tell you all kinds of things, but it wouldn't do any good.
Come on, Kent. I want to ask you. Come on, Kent. I want to ask you what that university is.
Go ahead and ask all you want. I'll publish it one of these days. It doesn't matter.
Okay, what about the honorary one? Can you tell me the university for that one?
There are all kinds of people with degrees from major universities who are young Earth creationists. Watch the Expelled movie, and you'll see.
But in your thesis, you said you have those PhDs, but you're not giving a reference to what the university is. You're mentioning it, but you're not giving. It's like you're not giving references. You're not giving footnotes.
Okay, forget them then. Call me Bubba.
Darn, I wanted to find out what it was.
I'm sure you do.
Okay, so sorry, we got off track there.